Alright, so in this video, guys, I'm going to be going over how to defend any sort of spread set. So think gun doubles, 5 wide, gun spread, anything like that. Tampa 2 is a great stock coverage that you can come out in to defend any sort of spread formations. So we're going to have a couple options for how you can defend this. The first one being the same setup in the previous video, which is the Tampa 2 in a deep blue. I'll snap the ball, I'll hover in the gap to show you guys what this looks like real quick against a standard spread for verts. So as you can see here, the vert hooks man up on the seams, which is really nice, which is the really nice thing about spread, about defending spread, I should say. The one thing that's really great about using spread and using formations like 5 wide and stuff this year is those seams are really easy to throw. If you time it right, if you pass lead right, it's very easy to hit the seams, especially against cover 3 and cover 4 and stuff like that. So cover 2 with the vert hooks is really nice just because those vert hooks will man up on the seams and you won't get burned over the middle. The only threat against formations like this is the outside. The clouds are going to bump the receivers. I'll show you guys real quick. As you can see there, they get just a quick little press, and then as soon as they're off the press, with the right pass lead and right timing, your opponent can easily throw over the clouds. The clouds are not going to drop back and play really great coverage, especially against those outside release routes that are new to the game this year as hot routes. So one thing I really like to do when defending against this is I like to kind of invert my coverage almost. This is where this starts to get a little complicated just because it can take some adjustments and some getting used to. I like to use my quick adjustments by double tapping Y, selecting the receiver, and then putting them in an outside quarter zone, which is right on the right stick. You can also click onto your corners if you're not super comfortable with these quick adjustments, but I would get used to that, man. Double tapping Y or double tapping triangle and then the cornerback's icon. Start getting used to that. That way you can make these adjustments really quick and you don't get clicked on. But what I'll do is I'll invert my corners and I'll do it to the wide side of the field. So let's say if I was on the right hash mark, I would put this corner over here in a quarter and then I would leave the cloud over on the right side. But however, since we're in the middle of the field, I can invert both actually. And then if we were on the left hash, I would put the right corner over here in a outside quarter. So basically what this is going to do is this is going to prevent any sort of deep crossers, any sort of deep posts, any sort of those fades getting over the clouds. This is really nice at defending against that. What we can do is we can inside quarter these guys, turn it almost into a cover 4 look. That's a possibility, but we might as well just run cover 4 at that point. So what I'll do usually is you can put this guy in the middle third, you can put this guy in the middle third, or if you want to start getting real adjusty, you can like man up X, you can cross man B across the field, do that same thing maybe. Try this. This is nice. That way if these outside guys are on slants, posts, anything like that, they're going to get completely bagged by the cross man. Then we have the vert hooks manning up the seams here, and we won't get burned to the outside. The obvious threat here is the sidelines, right? Just because we have no zones. So what we could do is we could put our slot guy in a zone. We could put this linebacker in a zone. I'll just show you guys what that looks like. So let's say I put a Loka in a curl flat. That way we have that sideline guarded. And then basically what I'm saying with my user is I'm responsible for the seam now. The vert hook is guarding that right one. Then we have this one right here, and we're just controlling the middle of the field. Any sort of crossers are going to be completely bagged. So this is where you can start to get really adjusty out of. Like I said, there's so many different things you can do, especially in the middle of the field. You're gonna have a lot more freedom with what you want to do. I do like to quarter those guys though on the outside. That way you're not getting burned up the sidelines. I'll show you again another little thing you guys could do. You guys could quarter both sides here, or actually, yeah, quarter both sides. And then let's say instead of cross manning this time, we'll inside man. So we'll inside man the inside guys. We'll put Smith in a deep blue, like we would run our normal stock coverage, and then we'll basically just control this sideline. We're saying, okay, now I have the flat right here, controlling the flat, coming back to the middle of the field once we see what actually play they're running, what routes are going out on the field. So that's something you can start getting really adjusty with. I would definitely practice a lot of different adjustments. Don't run the same ones every play. Switch it up a ton. Keep your opponent off guard and keep them guessing. That's how you start putting people who are even like people who are really good offensive players. You can get them Extremely puzzled, make them look cross-eyed just by making a ton of different adjustments. Uh, maybe you start running a bunch of different adjustments, like 3 plays in a row, and then you go back to the same adjustment that you just ran in the next play. They're not going to expect that, right? Because you've been switching it up so much. They expect you to continue to switch it up. But you go right back to it, and that's where the chess match in Madden kind of comes out, starting to get super adjusty. And that's one of the great things about the Tampa 2 defense is you can get really adjusty out of this. I don't really like to get too adjusty out of like cover 4 or cover 3 or anything like that, because once you start doing that, you kind of lose this stock shell that you came up with, and you can start giving up easy touchdowns. So if I'm playing against a really good offensive player, I will go to Tampa 2 and I will start making a ton of adjustments. But that's something that comes with a lot of experience. You can kind of play around with it, take risks, especially if you're playing online games that maybe you're playing just some mud head to head. There's not too much on the line. Definitely give it a shot, just trying a bunch of different adjustments against different formations. And then you can always have those kind of setups in the back of your mind of different things you can do to switch it up when you are playing games of higher importance. So that's just a nice little tip I have for you guys for defending spread, and not just spread in general, but any formation, getting super adjusty with your defenders. And with that being said, it is hard for me to go super advanced with this, just because I know a lot of my users are newer users or intermediate users. I don't want to get too complicated. It would be hard for me to get complicated with it. A lot of it just comes down to what your opponent is playing like, what plays they're running, how you're feeling, what your gut is telling you they're going to run, and how you want to defend what they've been doing. So that's just kind of a first step you can kind of take to making a ton of adjustments on defense. I do hope you guys like that video. We're going to be going over match defenses, how to stop the run in future videos, so make sure you guys look out for those.